of volunteering in the Toronto Police. We couldn't do what we do presented here. I've known Ron now for probably 6 years. Ron has been a faithful servant to the CPLC, attending every week when he could. He went through his own battle with illness and has come out the other side. We're very grateful for that. So this is my opportunity, the opportunity for the Toronto Police to say thank you to Ron for that service to his community and for partnering with us at the Toronto Police, which helps us deliver a better product to the community and ultimately make our community safer. So Ron, thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent. And thanks, Ron. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask our crime analyst team to take the back seat just for a little bit. Eager to get out there and go through our slides. But we do have a guest speaker here, Inspector Frank Rado from our Public Safety Response Team, which is a new team that the Transformational Task Force and Command has developed over the recent months. And off the schedule, he has a very busy schedule, but to free up some minutes just to come and kind of give us an overview of this new unit. So, Inspector.
Thanks very much, Doug. So, yes, I'm Inspector Frank Rado, and thank you very much for sharing some of your time with us. I know you have a busy agenda, lots of things to go through, and I know your time is valuable, so thank you very much. I come as well with PC Mark Lucetta, PC Patrick Costello from the Public Safety Response Team. And really the point of my visit today is just to share a little bit of information about a new unit that we formed within the Toronto Police Force. And it really came about from the work of our Transformational Task Force that Todd mentioned. I'm sure you've had an opportunity to learn a little bit about some of the recommendations that we're containing. The PSRT, the Public Safety Response Team, was one of those recommendations. And I think relative to some of the other ones, which are a little bit more conceptual, a little bit more in the distance in terms of when they will be implemented, I'm glad to say that the PSRT is actually up and running right now. So I'll just tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions you may have, and then I'll get out of here and let you proceed with your normal business. So the PSRT started in May 1st. It's about 75 members. That's 1 inspector, 2 staff sergeants, 8 sergeants, and 64 police constables that we very carefully selected for their skill set, their attributes, their training, their background. We work at a 330 program, so I'm in Scarborough. And we're sort of arranged as sort of an 8-6 configuration, so we call it in-house 8-6 because the officers will work 8 days, and then they'll be off for 6 days. So there's always a PSRT team that's working. As one team goes off, the other team comes on. Now, what does the PSRT do? And this is the most important question because it has to do with the mandate, it has to do with, are we worth the money that we represent to the budget, which is about $10 million. So our mandate primarily is focused on community engagement. And this is what the chief wanted to make abundantly clear to us. Community engagement that is positive, proactive, professional at all times. But I like to think that there's sort of 2 sides to the coin of what a public safety response team is, because I thought this is an opportunity to bring some specialized skill sets to the service. When we talked about the goals of the Transformational Task Force, being where the public needs us the most, embracing partnerships, much like the CPLC, meeting the complex needs of a large city. And that's where I think some of those specialized skill sets really come into play. So we have large protests, we have demonstrations, but certainly, much like every other large city in the world, have to be cautious with extreme events. Extreme events, of course, many times implies to people terrorism and things like that. But it could be any sort of disaster, any sort of a large event that the service needs to. With very thin margins of personnel, it's very difficult to meet some of those challenges. And I think the public safety response team, with the right officers, with the right equipment, with the right training, they can do things like public order, crowd management. They can do things like search management, assist with some of those things that a lot of times require a lot of resources above and beyond what is generally available on any given day. Critical infrastructure, public space protection, just being visible, providing some sort of support. Extreme event response, of course, as I said. But again, the community engagement is the part that we are most focused on, where we dedicate most of our training. Finding out what is going on in local communities like yours. Speaking with neighborhood officers that we are trying to establish in a more fulsome way across the service, across the city. Finding out what local sensitivities are, what they may be, and then going to those divisions in concert with neighborhood officers and supporting some of those initiatives, those plans, those objectives. And certainly these are the kinds of things you discuss here at a local level. What is the problem with this particular community, or what can be enhanced or improved? And this is what we want to find out about and support. So I don't want to tie up too much more of your time, but I'll certainly answer any questions you may have, and then we'll be on our way and get back to PSRT business. Anyone have any questions?
Here,
Yes, sir.
remember these things that we handed out at the
Yes, sir. I remember them well.
college? I'm just reviewing it. It says here, does this still stand, even to say 300,000 a year?
Yeah, that was one of the pitches. I wrote the recommendation. I wrote that little thing you're hoping me. And really,
Interesting.
there's lots of, should we say, benefits that I think that PSRT represents. And the financial aspect is certainly important as well. So to give you an idea, with normal status quo business, as we've done business in the past, it costs about, say, roughly $500,000 per year to bring in officers on their off-duty time to do things like crowd management, protests and demonstrations, things like that. The PSRT team, with the 32 officers that we would have working on any given day, being public order unit capable, equipped and trained, essentially represents a sizable crowd management resource. So a section of public order unit officers, which means you'll have to call off-duty officers in that much less when you have one section already in hand. Now, it's difficult to calculate precisely how much it's going to save because who's to say how many types of protests, how many types of special events. Some of these things occur spontaneously, as you know. Some of them are well planned in advance. You know, Pride festivities, the Scotiabank Festival, things like that. A lot of times these things require some of those public order unit resources, but a lot of times they simply happen spontaneously. A war, a protest, a political action somewhere, sometimes very far removed from Toronto, but that nevertheless stimulates some sort of public gathering here in Toronto. So that when we talk about $300,000, these are estimates. The other thing is search management. That sometimes requires officers to be brought in from across the service to assist with the command post with something that is urgent in nature. And having public safety response team officers that are trained and equipped and arrive as a team can help to negate some of those costs as well. Hopefully that answers a little bit of your question. By the end of the year, we'll be able to better assess, if we meet the promise of saving the service money. But come December, we'll start to really crunch the numbers and see if we've met the goals that we plan to.
They got a facility yet?
We got a
Facility.
facility? Yeah, 330 programs. So this was an existing facility. So quite a large building. And it was, well, it still is, the home of the Property and Evidence Management Unit. It's also the home of Parking Enforcement East. And because it's so sizable, and really a lot of it was unused, we moved in essentially there. We convinced the chief it was a good location. It certainly has great potential for other uses as well. It is going to require a little bit of renovation, so we're sort of roughing it right now. I promised my officers it would get better. Because, right now we built a locker room out of lockers, if you will. It's just an open warehouse. So come July, we hope to get a little bit of construction underway, and we're going to make it more of a functional police facility. Anyone else? So thank you all very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Todd. Super time.
Thank you.
All right, so at this point, we usually turn it over to Detective Constable Adam LeBlanc from our crime analyst office.
Good afternoon.
I'm Constable Adam LeBlanc, Crime Minister at 14th Division in Lakeview. I have a couple slides going what's been happening in the division. We'll start off here with our community map. It shows the different communities within 4A3 Division and the representation we have here at CPLC within these communities. As you can see, there's some communities that we don't have representatives, and we're always looking for more members. So get the word out. We love to see people coming out to these meetings. Our first map we'll start off here. This is a collisions map. It's two different components.
I could just, if there's anybody here that represents an area and you're thinking, my name should be up there, tell us. Okay, just see Adam afterwards, we'll correct it, because I've looked around the room and I do see a few people here that's named are not up there. Just tell us, we'll put you up there in the right community.
Moving along, like I said, this is our collisions map. One portion of this map shows dots, the actual locations where collisions have occurred and what type of collision they are. And then the second portion of the map is a heat overlay spot map, which shows you where the condensation happens. This map has changed up again. This is what we're used to seeing, where we see hotspots around intersections here, because this is where most of our accidents usually happen, and the big intersections where they happen. We've been here in previous meetings. We have had a more spread out map for the past couple months, but this is what our average map looks like. and it looks like we returned to that. This map is shown once a week, every Thursday at our crime management meeting, and the superintendent and supervisors use this map to decide where they're going to place enforcement to try and drive down the collisions.
So what you're seeing is the month of May. We just looked at, of course, the last previous week in June, and these hotspots have been reduced further already. So this week I have just priority of traffic, so nothing in particular. But I've got Poppy is out there, of course. So Poppy is basically this week free to do what he wants out there. So Poppy will be everywhere. Uh-oh is right. So just be aware Poppy is out there, and the primary response, when possible, are going to be putting out an enforcement car as well. One of the key issues that I feel facing the public now is one that I think everyone in the room shares, and that's a concern around distracted driving. You don't have to drive too far out on our roads to find somebody who's on a phone, whether they're texting or they're driving with a phone attached to their ear. Therefore, that constitutes distracted driving. That is taking over impaired driving as a leading cause of death in many first world countries. So it is something that I encourage my officers to action, be aware.
Just one question of that. Distracted driving, is it even touching your cell phone is considered
Yeah,
distracted
I'm
driving?
not allowed to touch it.
If you're eating anything else?
That would be distracted too. So I've seen it, you've probably seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it in the mornings coming to work. You have people who have got a cereal bowl. Yes, that would constitute. I've seen people putting on their makeup. That would constitute. What intuitively you would think would constitute does.
Right. Moving along, this slide two is a traffic slide. This slide here, again, has the heat overlay and the collisions. And now the black crosses you see are where enforcement has occurred. And as you can see, for the most part, our heaviest enforcement is where the most collisions are occurring in the division. And currently right now, 43, our collisions are down 3% compared to last year. So we're doing good. Is some of our crime maps. This map here represents the break-in enters in 43 division for the month of May. The different colored dots just resemble the different zones they have in here. So far this year, our break-in enters are down. In total, we're down 8%. But our residential entries are down quite a bit. Just in June already, we haven't had a single residential entry. So we've been driving our residential entries down a lot. Some where a lot of our entries are occurring, and I preface the word a lot because we are down, is apartment buildings. So for those of you who live in apartments, remember, don't let strangers in. If you're coming in, if people try to piggyback you through the door, stop, challenge them to say, you have to buzz them and don't let strangers through.
We can't become complacent, however. So if those of you that live in homes, even though we haven't seen one this month yet, which is fantastic, if you see suspicious activity can be as simple as a car parked on your street or slowly driving up and down your street, and seems to be paying particular attention to people with long grass, people that have maybe newspaper buildup on their front stoop. Those sort of indicators of people not being home. If you have people knocking on your door and asking to see Mark and you don't know a Mark, those are indicators of people looking for homes that aren't occupied that they can actually break into. Call to us. Some suspicious activity in your street, you believe that they may be casing properties for break and enter, police will respond to that. Give us a call. And that is one of the things that we have seen in this division, and it has led to arrests, and it is one of the things that has led to the fact that we have had no June thus far. I'm sure we'll have them, sadly, but so far so good. The partnership is what helps us drive those statistics down.
Moving along. This next map here shows the robberies in the division, and again, the different colored dots just resemble the different zones they've had. On robberies for the year, so far are up a bit compared to last year. Taking a look at the year prior, we had very large reduction, and we're still on the same baseline as we were in 2015. So not a huge cause for concern. When you're looking at this map up here in Morningside Lawrence area, that was one of the responses we had to that was up the uniform patrols by our specialty units, the MSU and CST. We have seen a marked decrease in that area in the past 2 weeks, which is really good. Something else that we saw in the past week, there were offenses that borderline on robberies and thefts. A theft will become robbery and some violence is displayed, then a theft will become robbery. We had a group of teenagers driving around in a car. They were mostly up in the northwest end of the division. They would approach people that were walking down the street, say that they were lost, ask for assistance, ask if they could borrow their cell phone to look at their Google map or whatever. Some nice citizens would want to be helping out, let them their cell phone, they take the cell phone and they just drive away. So that happens several times. Sometimes the citizens try to hold on to their phone, so they're not pulled on it. That would turn it into a robbery.
If you call 84351, please, Marlene 84351.
Our major crime unit has identified one of the people responsible for these. They were arrested. Since that arrest has been made, no more occurred. But I just wanted to bring it up because summer's here, and this is kind of stuff that's going to happen in the summer. But people are aware of this when we're out in the summer. There's more people out, so be aware of your surroundings. Then the next slide, our theft of autos. This is a pretty good slide. Our theft of autos have been up this year considerably from last year, but in May we reduced our theft of autos 50% compared to April. So not too many. You see there's very few dots on there, so no real concerns to report with theft of autos right now. So that's good.
Again, a very basic thing that you would think in this day and age I wouldn't need to say, but lock your cars. Just lock your cars. Simply engage the loss prevention tools that you have built into your car, lock it. That can make a big difference. The car either entered and things taken from them, or the car itself is taken. We find out through questions that people don't lock them. Please lock your cars.
Yeah, actually, just to touch on that point too, we had 2 cars stolen this week, and I don't really off, but in both of them, the owner said that they kept a spare key to the car in the car. So I don't know how many people do that, but that's probably not the best place to keep your extra keys actually in the car. So if that's a habit, you might want to put that on. And then our last slide here is our 7 major crime indicators. As I've explained in the past, these are crimes picked out by Stats Canada that they figure if you measure them best reflect the atmosphere in a division or a neighborhood. Our major crime indicators are all looking pretty good this year. Some of them are up a bit, like I said, the robberies. It does show 33%, but when you look at 2015, at this time we had 147. Right now we had 146. And we did have several years of reductions before that. So maybe a little bit more of a normalization. We had huge decreases last year, which is really good. Our break and enters are going down, which is really, really good. Are starting to plateau, which is nice to see. And that's a reflection of what's going on. And everybody have a safe and happy summer. So you get it.
Thanks.
I like that part. Do it yourself.
Thanks again, Adam. Okay, this is the point in our meeting where we open the floor up to commuters. Prior to that, I'm just going to let you know some follow-up from some concerns that were raised at the meeting in May. The first one was one of our community members, Red Wolf, had said there continues to be a problem, Westlake Road and Livingston Road, regarding the stop sign there. He said that on a regular occasion or regular observations, he's seeing people not obey the stop sign. I know that our traffic enforcement officer, Kathy there, has spent time down there. By and large, his observations were that people are obeying the stop sign. He did do some enforcement there. And a few tickets were issued, but by and large, people are obeying it, but we'll continue to monitor it. And then I believe it was James Thomas brought to our attention regarding the school buses continuing to park along Dorset Road just south of Kingston Road. That's problematic. I know that Pappy's been involved in trying to address. We have a driver who is aware of the fact that it's not a tow zone, and he's willing just to pay the ticket as a means of parking. Pappy's continuing to monitor it. I don't know, seen the bus still there.
So since the last meeting, I don't know what you guys have done, I have not seen the buses.
He's gone further down. So he doesn't interfere. He's kind of worked out with us, and he's actually gone down a couple hundred meters.
That's great, because that's at the turning.
There's no turning point, he's not in the corners anymore. So we have addressed that, he's gone further down. I was there yesterday, parked down.
Chief Papadopoulos, call 84351. Chief Papadopoulos, 84351.
And then last but not least, I know James Richard's not here today, but he had raised a concern, and this, again, tends to happen periodically. Stonton Drive parking, as well as the Shoppers Drug Mart Plaza there in McCowan and Ellesmere. People not obeying the sign, there's congestion there. I know Patty's been up there as well, he did issue some tickets up there. That's problematic in our town center, but the 401 dumping down to McCowan there as well. So it's just one of those things that Patty did do some enforcement there, he did lay a bunch of tickets, and we'll continue to monitor that as well. So that was the follow-ups as far as the concern. And then we'll take this opportunity for anybody who has any concerns to bring to our attention, something that we can address over the summer months. By all means, the floor is yours. Mike.
First time,
Well, you've been very talkative the first half of the meeting, which is unusual. You usually don't wake up until the second half. I noticed that you're awake.
I've been in contact with the principal of the Vandale Junior Public School in Medicare and I then took the opportunity to ask her of a problem, because years ago we used to have a big problem when they were employees. But she says, what's happening now is the original problem no longer exists. What they're doing, the landlords are going to the back of the school and breaking windows. She doesn't know how to handle it. She didn't even know she could call me or call them. And I guess with summer coming out, it may increase. I don't know.
Okay. I believe we have a community complaint on file for Vendale Junior for that, but I'll double check.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I told her, I promised her, we're going.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. Are there anybody else that has any issues they want to raise or concerns?
I've got a question.
A question?
There's a school on Bellamy that has they're little turtles. They stand about that high. And they are printed with slow down on them. They're in the same green color as the officers wear when they're directing traffic, that nice green color. And they wear little red hats. And this particular school has 3 of them, one at the end of each driveway. And it's always got to cross it for slow. But it looks really heavy, and I'm not sure if it's something that someone has made or if the school is purchasing them. They just show up this week. But I think Kathy was probably sitting on the Morton on Monday morning. For speakers. If there's somebody there, I don't know, I didn't catch the number, I just saw it as a.
So the question is tortoise or the hare?
Yeah.
Where we're going with this? I'm not sure where we're going with this.
It's working well, is it something just that school come up with? Or is this something that we're going to see at all the other schools? Because it looks like it would work.
That's a fantastic question. I do not have an answer for you.
It is a third, but
Do you know the name?
advertised also.
Sorry, Rudy, what was that? Rudy, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I thought you haven't heard. No, it is in the pole, you can put a flag that says you're selling something, or you can slow down or whatever. It's a tiny red hat, and full of that, the year like mine.
It's all about open voice words.
Yeah, it looks like it's plastic.
Any school could do it.
Okay.
There you go.
It's plastic.
Well, Paul does our crime prevention through environmental design, so he can pass that jewel of information along to other schools, perhaps as a method to slow traffic down.
Yeah, there are different versions of that in Councilor Ainsley's office amongst some, I believe, have kindly handed those out or no access. I'm not saying go to the councilor's office, but I know meetings that we were together, if you remember, at one of the schools, they had them. There's different neighborhoods that kind of banded together and printed similar things. And certainly,
Fairly steady, and there's not
Yeah.
something that they look like they walk away from very easily.
When you get by the your kids' portraits at a public school, some of the proceeds from those portraits fund those signs for various schools as well. And as the other gentleman mentioned, the advertisements for the portrait company are on the bottom of them. So that's where you'll see a lot of them, that's where they come from.
Okay, thank you.
It always amazes me the number of experts we have. So there you go. We have multiple experts on turtles, traffic reduction turtles. Fantastic. Are there any other issues, concerns? In the back.
I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself. I'm Denisha Cox. I'm the Community Engagement Manager in the Office of MVP Mitzi Hunter. This is my first meeting here. I understand this is your last meeting. You're drinking for the summer and then reconvening in September. So I wanted to just stop and we'll be reconvening with you in September. I brought some pins and Trillium pins, Ontario Trillium pins, and Canada Day, 150 Canada Day pins as parting gifts. And the concern though is we had a number of constituents from 4205 Lawrence Avenue East come in with complaints about feeling unsafe. And I'm sure this is not new to you, but I just wanted to highlight that we've had a number of residents come in with concerns for their safety in that building in particular. So just, not being able to be in this, like, walk down the stairwell or being accosted or, so I just wanted to highlight that.
And we're very aware of this situation around 4205 North. We're in that building probably more than any other building in our division. Probably one of the most over-policed buildings in the city of Toronto. We're all over it. I know Toronto Community Housing, they have security officers there on a regular basis as well. All I can ask to take it back to your constituents. We've had several meetings with them. Typically, we show up for tenant safety meetings, and there's usually more police officers than there are tenants. So if you can encourage them to attend those meetings so we can hear the concerns, because ultimately it's this forum, and they're more than welcome to come here as well, but it's this forum is where we hear it. And yet when we go to the meetings at 4205, it's basically 2 or 3 police officers, Toronto Housing, and nobody else there. So if you can just pass that back to them, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for coming. Welcome, and we look forward to seeing you in September. Are there any other issues? No?
Gilbert Park, down at the bottom.
I'm familiar with Gilbert Park, yes.
And car drivers, especially after 9 p.m. and you see as a traffic race, we're going way out of the limit. And I almost got hit when I was crossing the street with my 9-year-old daughter. A lot of cars are using Gilbert Parkway speed. If you go 2 kilometers per hour, I don't care, And then watching, and I got hit. Almost got hit. There were too many close situations. At least 120 in the past 3 months. There.
Gilbert Parkway.
Gilbert Parkway, yeah.
Okay, what we'll do with that one, because we have had Pappy go, I know, because we've heard this before, we've had Pappy go down there and not find speeders. So what we will do, I don't know if it's still out there, but we have a machine that we can put, it's a radar, speed measuring radar. It has a computer attached to it, and it just flashes when somebody's going over the limit.
But it number thing that's
yes, it collects the data for us and tells us when and if there are speeders. It will tell us when the time is that we see the most of it, and then we can, from that, tailor our use of our limited human resources to address that issue. So we'll put that down there as soon as we can get it there. Our auxiliary police officers actually are the ones that take it down there. They will set it up. We will download the data after a number of days to see if in fact there are, and we'll report back to you in September.
Because some of the events, because the Gilbert Park building is still building up, and there's a lot more events and more people are moving nights. So we have a lot of kids and cars, and young kids, 6, 7,
Understood. Just refine on Gilbert just a little bit. I'm sorry if I missed it. Just refine a little bit on the area of Gilbert where you're seeing it, just because it's a fairly long street. Let's start from
roughly from the Gilbert, Gillian Park, you know, the driveway, there, you know? And then.
It is freshly calibrated and ready to go. Seriously, Grand Village just finished it, so.
Are there any other concerns?
On Saturday, I had some people that complained to me, there's a couple of motorcycle people down there racing up and down the hill.
Anything else? Okay, so we'll speak to those topics when we come back in September. See Randy did come in here. I don't know, Randy, if you have anything as far as community engagement?
You know what, I have to say a couple things. You know, I usually pass it off to Angela, she says she's not going to speak, but she would love to speak. Sorry about coming late. Today was the kickoff for National Libraries Month, which is June, and this is our 19th year of taking part. It's very important, you know, not recognizing our past, our heritage, and our future. And then they had a kickoff for a law enforcement tour truck. So that was Angela, do you want to talk?
Angela, why does he throw you under the bus so often? Why does he do that? I don't know. I don't get it.
So, there's lots of stuff going on in the community. If you follow us on our social media sites, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can see some of the things that go on. We advertise. We slowed down on a couple. We picked up on some new ones. For example, with YouTube, we started 43 Vision has a YouTube channel, but it's a corporate channel. And I started my own personal YouTube channel because of all the videos that we put out there. And what happened was, very quickly, we started getting advertisers on our channel because they like the content. The content is actually very original. And when it comes to advertisers, I opened up in my name. So I was getting emails to my Gmail account regarding payment, and I can't accept payment because I made these videos, you know, during the working, while I'm working, and the work related. So I couldn't. So I actually cut that account down, close it down, get away. I'm just going to try to figure out other things. But it's good to know that it's very successful. Angela has some little videos, and so are the kids, and so is Pappy, and so is Paul and Julie, and everybody else who I decided to throw in the bus. Yeah. So
I can't believe he didn't take the payment. Like, he works for free and I told him to take the money and give it to me and he just like, I don't get it. Anyway, we talked last time about doing another safe walk in the West End. Yesterday we had them come by and kind of shadow us to see what we're doing. It was a really great experience for them after all, and one of the guys that's doing this, he's just like, so look at the baby, he's like, I hate cops. He's like, I totally hate them because of things that happened with his son and his son that killed and everything.
yeah, his son was actually killed by police.
By police, and it was just wrong thing, wrong place at the wrong time. It was just like, he hate them. And we've been corresponding and he's talked to Randy and stuff like that. But after I meeting him yesterday, like even today he called me and he's like, you know what, you just changed my whole outlook and when it comes to police and community. Even the engagement that they saw in the community, because I just kind of stand back, they already walked with me. Randy was already at 90 and we were at 110. And when they came up there, he was already interacting with the community and the people within the community. And that to them was really amazing. And they had students with them and they're like, oh my gosh, we don't see that in our community. What we see is people doing other things. To the point that I think they worked from 31 Division. They wanted him to help them to develop that kind of relationship because that's what they're going on, this is what we want. And we don't see that happen within our community. And I'm also really happy when people come and see firsthand. Because we can put the videos out there, we can put photos out there, we can say this is what happened in our community. But at the end of the day, it's work that has been done, and Randy's been there for years. We've been there for years. We're just at a meeting yesterday with CCRP, and we're talking about when we got started and the way the community was and how the community is now. And there were people bringing up these thoughts and said they were so afraid to walk on the staircase. They were so afraid to walk within the community. And the memorial is different. It's because of the presence and the relationship that we have for the 3 officers. And what things stand back. Sometimes I get a little jealous, and the reason for that is the kids ignore me. I'm like, but I'm Angela. I just tell them about him. He's getting hugs and he's getting flowers, and I'm not getting anything. You know, I just watch him. He baby hogs. I can't have kids because he has them. And I'm just complaining all the time. We're doing a really wonderful thing and a great thing. And I just want to say at the end, the year is coming to an end for the school. Thank you very much for the partnership. Thank you very much for being in our community. And that we can always count on you guys to be there. And for that, I really appreciate it. Speaking on behalf of Howard.
Thank you.
We have access to the Moreland Hub, to run programs, hold meetings, whatever the case is. Summer camp's gonna be there, please always take part in summer camp. And I'm just gonna say this, because I like to say this, I try to say this every time. I appreciate the shout outs, and it's nice interacting with the community. I'm able to have the position I have and interact with the community, take all these photos because of all the other hard work that dozens and dozens, hundreds of other officers are doing. So thank you to all the other officers. Appreciate that.
I'm not thanking the other officers, because I don't know the other officers. I know the
That's so
Thank you,
rude.
Angela.
Any other questions at all? I get sorry late.
I'd like to take this opportunity, this is typically where we allow Paul or Julie to either do a presentation or something from the community relations aspect of our CPLC meeting. But I want to take this opportunity, some of you may know it's posted on Facebook, but I'm going to take the time right now to recognize Paul. He was recognized by the Rotary Club of Scarborough and presented with the Service Above Self Award this past Tuesday. And just based on the body of work that Paul does on a daily basis and his interaction with the community, his commitment to the community. So the Rotary Club saw fit to award him the Service Above Self Award, and I just want to say congratulations. And he didn't know I was going to do that, so that's awesome. Speech.
I'd also like to say behind every man is a good woman, and give a shout out to Julie and partner as well.
Okay, you guys have anything?
Yeah, so you did say speech, so
Yeah.
you're gonna. I just want to take just a very brief moment and say, obviously, thanks for coming and have a great summer. And you've heard me talk about this before, that's the power of attorney, but I probably didn't necessarily have it. Many of you will know what it is, and some won't as well. Power of attorney is not a will. That's after our passing. A power of attorney, as most of us age, hopefully that we will retain both our physical wellness and our mental capacity. That's not always the case. Some will retain one, well, unfortunately, some will lose both. Okay? A power of attorney can allow someone to make decisions on their behalf, as I say, if you lose mental capacity, or in health decisions as well. There can be one person, or you can have two different things, but they're so incredibly important. And I just want to give you a very quick cautionary tale, two different examples. We've had two cases that Julie and I and other officers have dealt with, and they're almost the exact same instance, in which an adult is moved into their house to take care of their elderly parent. One in one case a mother, and the other one a father. I'll start with the unfortunate case first, and then unfortunately is that we have worked with the family for about 3 years now. We're getting into all the details because of some of the limitations that we have. We help to the best of our ability, but he has since passed, and not in the most favorable conditions. And not that there's a criminal element to it, but it's not some an instance or an area where you probably want your mother or father to live. Okay, that happened over 3 years. Everyone continues to be upset, continues to take police resources. Everyone finds themselves frustrated on all sides. So that's over 3 years and really no closure to it. Here's an identical situation in another city, and they decided to get legal counsel. Within 20 days, those people were in court. Mom is alive and well. She still has Alzheimer's, but she's resting comfortably in long-term care. And that's because there was a proper power of attorney, followed up behind that, and got her help. So I would just say, if you don't have a power of attorney, please at the very least, if, as we kind of joked, Julie and I, if you're Donald Trump, probably that little paper there is insufficient. You want to go to the lawyer and get that written up. But at the very least, I'm begging you to please take one of those today and to please choose wisely, because it falls under the Substitute Decisions Makers Act, and it's not a strong act. It doesn't give us a lot to act upon. And as was described by one of the kind of a preeminent counsel in this, it's a little bit like a marriage. It's really easy to get into, but it's really expensive and difficult to get back out. You want to choose wisely the first time, As I say, in almost all cases, it does turn out well. Unfortunately, as officers, we deal with the horror stories. So, as I say, please do that today if you haven't. We all think we have time, and hopefully we all do, so we don't know what's going to happen as we walk into this room today, what could happen. Any of us, no matter what the age, something can happen, and we need someone to take care of us. Fortunately, in most cases, I think we can do this, but we just don't know, okay? So please consider it. Anything else, Julie? Okay.
Now that you've crushed everyone's spirits.
Say good things about me now.
Based on Marilyn's agenda, I have picnic photos by Sue. And I know that Sue took a ton of photos, but I don't know if they were put onto a slideshow or if we are able to share those today, or if that's just something that got.
No, she just hasn't gotten them into.
Okay. So unfortunately, we won't be able to address that.
Something to look forward to
In September. I want to just quickly talk about it, and then I'll turn it over to Marilyn. Brady has the silent auction report. But I just thought, we had our open house, our CPLC open house, May 27th there. I thought it was a huge success. Our numbers were, what were they again, Julie?
3,100 people. So we're almost 3 times what we normally get. So anyone on the barbecue, James and James, I think you're still recovering. Yeah.
It was constant the whole time.
And I think the big thing is Mike was counting the year before, and it was 10 and another one, and another one, and 11 and another one. So that might have assisted us in our totals. But I thought it was a great turnout. There was a window of weather that we were fortunate enough, because it rained all day before and all day after, but we were lucky enough to have some decent weather for it. It was a really good turnout, and I thought a lot of that goes to Julie's preparation and all the hard work that the members of the CPLC did leading up to it, and I thought it was a great day. So I just want to say thank you, Julie, and thank you everybody else. And with that said, Marilyn, if you have your report as far as the silent auction goes. Okay,
No,
good.
no,
Moving on.
okay. Our silent auction went very well, considering it was a lot smaller this year than it had been other years. And we do still have some things that we'd be more than happy to auction off for you today. We have a crock pot that has a decoration on it from the Maple Leafs. We have a small dish that you would put in a stand that has a panda bear on it. We have a birdhouse. And somebody left us a bracelet for the Fifth Avenue. I don't know who left that, but it was after the auction was over. So is anybody interested in any of these things before I pull them all out?
Are there any turtles?
We just like to get rid of them. What are we gonna do with them for full year?
Randy is.
What? Well, the birdhouse, maybe.
Actually, maybe, Marilyn, maybe the thing to do is, because this would be ordinarily, this would be the time that you take our break. So we could take a break and you could, people could take a look if they were interested. So we'll take a break. I want to thank everybody that doesn't stick around for the second half for coming. We hope you have a great summer and see you in September. Thank you very much. We'll take a quick little break here. There's some refreshments, and then we'll do the second half.